Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. As I was going through my day-to-day, it broke that O.J. Simpson had passed away. It was an announcement that was made and put up by his family. And within minutes of seeing that post, I began to see numerous responses to his death. Responses that really bothered me. And I'm not here. I was alive when the trial of O.J. Simpson happened. I was around. I was cognizant. I was aware of it. And it disturbed me how fractured racial lines went when it came to this case. It disturbed me because at the core of it were the lives lost of two innocent people and the potential that a third person who might be innocent until proven guilty could have his life ruined. Subsequently, he was found not guilty. He tried to go on with his life, but even though he was found not guilty, he was treated as a guilty man for the rest of his life. No one will ever convince me that the situation that he found himself in that led to his incarceration for years didn't come based off of the fact that people thought he got away with something. That's not how the judicial system is supposed to work. That's not how law is supposed to work. So it was disheartening to me, right? But I'm somebody who believes in karma. So if you believe in karma, then you think to yourselves, and people have told me, by the way, that this is not how karma works. But if that's not how it works, then what's the use of karma, right? I believe that you put enough negative stuff into a bucket, and eventually the negative stuff happens to you that counterbalances that, right? And so he went to jail, he got out, he's been trying to live his life, and then he passes away. He passes away at the age of 70 something, excuse me. I don't remember the exact number. And what really got to me is that there were people going out of their way to tell you how much they're happy or to denigrate O.J. Simpson. Let me just let y'all in on a little secret. Death is it. Like, once death hits, that's it. It's over. Whatever you did in your life, death has paid the price for it. Whatever it is that you had on your docket, whatever you had on your ledger, whatever it was that somebody was accusing you of, when you die, there is nothing else. And so I find it really cringeworthy that people are using the death of O.J. Simpson to give their feelings on a guy that they probably didn't even know that well. It starts off with Jeremy Schaap on a public national platform saying that how does he feel about O.J. Simpson's death? Doesn't affect him at all. Well, hey, guess what? Guess who it affects? All of the people who are still living, who are related and or family and or friends of O.J. Simpson. They don't deserve to have to hear this on the day the man passes away. If you're family of the people who OJ was accused of murdering, if you want to believe that that man is guilty to the day you die, I have no problems with it. If you want to take today to say that some type of justice has been served out, I have no problem with that at all. You want to know why? Because death is it. Once somebody dies, that's it. They can't do anymore. You can't do, there's nothing else. Guess what else? They don't hear this stuff. So then when I hear Kyle Brandt, of all people, Kyle Brandt put down murderer as something that you'll remember from the O.J. Simpson, I go, why? Why was that necessary? What did you gain? Did it help your brand? Did it make you more popular? Was it just something you felt down deep in your soul because O.J. Simpson did something to you, Kyle Brandt, that was so egregious that you had to, on the day that this man died, and that his family released a statement for social media that they had to turn the comments off of because they know that social media is a disgusting place, that social media can be a vile, horrible place where people would not wrap their arms around the family and say, hey, my condolences for your loss. They would say, hey, your dad is this, or your uncle was this, or your granddad was this, or your husband was this, or whatever nasty, disgusting, horrible, vile thing they can think of because they believe in some way is penance for what that man did or what they believe that man did, but it's not. OJ doesn't hear any of this. OJ is not the beneficiary of your malice. OJ is not the person that you are attacking when you send this type of stuff into the world. It's his kids. It's his grandkids. It's his friends. It's family members. It's people who didn't ask for any of it. It's people who look at all of this and go, my God. Right? Because they can't escape it. So we have people saying that. And then we have the biggest clout chaser of all clout chasers, right? The former greatest athlete in the world, Caitlyn Jenner, who comes out and says good riddance only for my guy Officially Ice. And I don't agree with everything that Officially Ice from the Joe Budden podcast says, but I like him because he's a straight shooter. I like him because he's a straight shooter. I don't think he always is on the side that I'm on. Time he was right, and he posted immediately, hey, big dog, we haven't forgotten. The same person that should have been in jail for vehicular manslaughter, but because of who he was and what he was able to do, he got off, is the person saying good riddance to the dude that was close with his former wife and his former wife's husband? Like, what are we doing here? If that ain't the most clout chasey of clout chaseys, just because you got a sex change doesn't mean we forgot who you were. And we forgot some of the things that you did. You know what? You can change your gender, but you can't change what's black in your heart. You can't do that. You can't change the fact that you're clout chasing. And these are just a couple. I'm not searching for them. They are literally just flying by my timeline. Somebody on that I follow or follows me has either saw it and clicked on it or post on it. because that's how the algorithm works, right? Put all of this negative stuff in front of me, and my entire time I'm saying, well, what else do you want? He's now paid the ultimate price, the price that every single one of us is going to have to pay. I don't care if you freeze your head. I don't care if you do some cryogenics. I don't care if you leave your blood behind or whatever you think that you can possibly live forever through some type of reconfigured AI, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at all. In the end, the only thing that's going to matter is death, because it comes to all of us. And once it does, that's it. Debt paid. Wrongs have been paid. There's nothing else. We don't need to kick the dead. They're already dead. They say don't kick a man when he's down. Why would you kick a man when they're dead? They're gone. I'm not out here, by the way, I'm not out here sending out my condolences all to everybody that passes away, because not everybody that passes away I'm a fan of. I respect, I admire. But guess what I don't do? I don't get on here and start kicking their back in. Well, good riddance. Good, glad you're gone. Hallelujah. You sound like a doof. What about the people who don't rock with you? What about the people who don't believe you're a good person? Do you want, on the day when you pass on to whatever you believe comes in the afterlife, you want that day to be spent with people kicking your back in? Then why would you do it to somebody else? It makes no sense. It has no real legitimate value. The only thing it does is show how petty you are. That's the only thing it does. Because once someone is dead and gone, guess what? It doesn't matter how long after the death. The moment of death, they're gone. They're gone. Say goodbye. Say goodnight. Don't say goodbye. Don't say goodnight. It's not going to change the outcome. Dead is still dead. When we think about how we behave on some of these social sites, I want you all to remember that at one point in time, when Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and MySpace and YouTube and LinkedIn and every other place that's a social media place, when these places did not exist, you got your information face to face through word of mouth. And when you said something, somebody else was coming to check you about it. Before everything became bullying, before everything became about taking care of people's people's mental health, before everything became like feel sorry for, blame this, don't blame that, reactionary, ride the wave, before all of it, if you said something and somebody else heard it and they came and addressed you about it, you had to look them in the eye. And you either had to start copping a plea or you had to be ready to fight. You had to be ready to fight. We would be, our social media would be so much better if we thought about that when we were deciding what we wanted to type. When we decided that we wanted to behave in whatever manner that is, that wouldn't be a manner that would be considered respectful, we should have to think about the fact that if we say something crazy, somebody's going to come see us about it. And if we did, if we took that time to consider it, maybe we don't send it. Maybe we don't hit that button. Maybe we do. Right? Maybe we do. But when Shannon Sharpe told Mike Epps, hey man, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna see you about this. And Mike Epps said, okay. That's the energy. And Mike Epps wasn't on no, okay, if you touch me, I'm a sue. Mike Epps was on that, okay. Come around here and see what happens. So many times we're in this world, especially in sports, by the way, because this is the perfect juxtaposition of sports and entertainment and the culture, right? O.J. Simpson was a sports star who became an entertainment star who didn't necessarily represent the culture that thought he represented them. It is wildly known that at that time, O.J. didn't really look at himself like the rest of us looked at ourselves as black men. I don't think it was because he didn't think he was black. I don't think that was ever the case. I think he thought that his stature put him above the way other black men in this country were treated. And he immediately found out that that was not the truth. Right? Immediately. And I'm not here to get into guilt and innocence. I'm just going to tell you the truth. The man was put on trial. They had evidence. The evidence was murky. And a jury of his peers said he was not guilty. Then later on in his life, he went on trial for something else. The evidence was murky, and a jury of his peers sent him up the road. Ta-da! Now, on the day of his death, I don't have to sit here and extol about all of the great things of O.J. Simpson, records that'll never be broken, or positions on the pantheon of things that they'll never be able to get beyond him, but they exist. I don't have to do that at all. The ideas are simple, right? The culture got behind him at the time. I remember, because the culture felt like things were always going against us in the legal system. That's the way people felt, right? But today, you don't see a bunch of people out here, RIP O.J. Simpson, RIP. You know what? Because death is over. It's over. So the same way that you've been quiet, Kyle Brandt, about O.J. Simpson for all these years, you can be quiet today. The same way, Caitlyn Jenner, that you were quiet about O.J. Simpson all these years, you can be quiet today. And Jeremy Schaap, who is even still listening to you? This idea that you are we need to hear from you? Why? Because you were there? Because you were there? Yo, he's dead. Why do we have to continually beat down someone that's already gone? It's over. It's over. And we would all be smart. We would all be wise to take that into consideration and remember that when we go, there's somebody out there that's not going to be mad that we're gone. And we would all hope that on that day, for our family's sake, not for our sake because we're gone, we would hope that on that day, for our family's sake, they would just keep it to themselves. They would just be quiet. They would just shut it up, right? Not today. Not today. Maybe not ever. You know why? Because once I'm dead, I'm not coming back. All I know is that we can do better as people, and every time, every single time, we have an opportunity to show that we are better as people, we choose to do the worst. Every time we have the opportunity to say, you know what? I'm not going to engage in this. I can't get caught up in this. I can't allow this to affect me in a way that I need to be negative outwardly about it. Why would anyone have any strong feelings on OJ outside of the people who are directly related to him and or to the case that he was involved in? Who cares if Jeremy Schaap is happy? Who cares what Kyle Brandt has to say? Who cares what I have to say? Nobody should when it comes to that man and his death, because we are not affected. I'm not affected by his death in any way. You know what I am affected by? I'm emotionally moved because I'm thinking about what it must be like to be the son of O.J. Simpson, to be the daughter of O.J. Simpson, to be the granddaughter, the grandson of O.J. Simpson, because at 70 plus years old, he's old enough to have adult children who know nothing about, who was not alive, who did not have anything to do with, who did not ask to be a part of this situation, and now they got to hear their pop being called a murderer. They got to hear about their granddaddy, people being happy that their granddaddy is passed away right when they're grieving. That's what makes me emotionally invested. It's nothing to do with OJ. Has everything to do with the people who are affected by OJ. If I'm the parents of if I'm the parents of the victims, if I'm the loved ones of the victims, do I want to hear random people who are not affected by this thing walking around talking about some good riddance? Absolutely not. I want to process, and I want to be thankful that it's over. That now the person that I feel did harm to my people, they're no longer here. That's it. Man, we do some really ugly stuff sometimes. We as a people, we do some really ugly stuff sometimes. And I'm telling you, I probably say this once a week on this pod. We don't have to be like this. It's so much love. It's so much positivity. It's so much happiness. It's so many things to innocuously argue about. Let's argue about whether or not you think the Yankees are going to win a World Series this year. Let's argue about whether or not you think the Yankees are going to win the pennant this year. Hey, we can go back and forth about whether or not the Giants need a quarterback, right? We can do that without it being ugly or nasty or vile. And every single time we pick the negative. Why? Because the negative gets engagement. Because the negative, you know what? If there's no negative, then they got to engage in something else. If there's no negative out there, then people have to find other things to engage in. I read a story that said that the TikTok that the kids see in China is completely different than the TikTok that the kids see in the United States. They said in China, and I don't even know if this is true. But they said in China, the TikTok the kids see is of accomplishments, of young people doing great things, of positivity. You know why? Because that's what they want to envelop the brains of their young. They want them to think about being accomplished. They want them to think about being achievers. They want them to think about being great. And what do we see? All of the crazy stuff, all of the horrible behaviors. They see somebody went viral because they punched a teacher. So guess what that makes some of these kids want to do? Punch a teacher. They see they went viral because they beat up or they went into a grocery store and knocked over all of the canned goods in the grocery store. So what do they want to do? They want to go viral too. So they want to go and knock over the cans in the grocery store, except no one's talking about the fact that on that viral video, they paid the grocery store to not arrest them. Hey, we're going to go back there. We're going to knock out, here's several $1,000s because we're about to go viral. We're going to make 5x that. Our way that we interact and the way that we see things, what do we look at on these? We could have fun. I'm not saying don't do goofy things. Don't be fun. Don't be awesome. Don't be creative. But we don't have to be dark all the time. We don't have to be negative all the time. We don't have to think about the negative things involved in our world all the time. It's okay to not respond to everything. I swear it is a constant fight for me to not respond to everything I see. When I'm scrolling, I see stuff and I'm like, oh, I'll type a whole response out and go delete. Because it's just not worth it. It's not worth it in the end. Death is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope it doesn't find any of you soon. And when it does find you, I hope that the people that you were beefing with, the people that didn't like you, the people who believe you wronged them, the people who saw you wrong other people, the people who just think that you may have wronged someone, I hope that they have the grace and the humility to let you pass away in peace. If for not your sake, for the sake of those who love you. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. You do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Till next time, peace.